All right, let's dive into a really cool concept that's pretty much at the heart of all business and marketing, the customer journey. It's kind of like this hidden map that guides how brands talk to us, from the very first moment we even hear about them to when we become their biggest fans. So how on earth do they do it?
Have you ever had that feeling where you're just thinking about a problem, and bam, an ad or an article pops up that feels like it was written just for you? Or maybe you buy something, and the whole process, from checkout to actually using it, is just effortless. Well, that's not magic, and it's definitely not a coincidence. It's all part of a very deliberate, very smart strategy.
So, what's the secret sauce? Well, these companies have put in the work to understand the path from your perspective. They've basically mapped out every single step, every question, and every feeling you might have along the way. And that's what lets them get ahead of your needs and make the whole experience feel totally seamless.
So, in this explainer, we're actually going to walk that journey together. First, we'll break down what this map even is. Then, we'll trace the path from being a total stranger to a customer. After that, we'll see how a one-time shopper becomes a true advocate. And finally, we'll get into why this whole thing matters so much for any business.
Okay, let's start with the fundamentals. This is the map that takes someone from a first glance to becoming a loyal fan. But what does that map actually look like?
At its core, the customer journey is really just the complete story of someone's relationship with a brand. It kicks off the second they realize, I have a problem, and it continues way after they've made a purchase. The end goal? Creating real, lasting loyalty.
And here it is, the roadmap. This whole, sometimes complicated path can be broken down into these 6 key stages. We're going to use this as our guide. It takes us all the way from awareness, where you might not even know a brand exists, to the ultimate prize, loyalty.
So let's zoom in on that first half of the journey. This part is all about acquisition, turning someone who's never even heard of you into an actual paying customer. This covers those first 3 stages: awareness, consideration, and purchase.
In that first awareness stage, the customer isn't really shopping. They're just waking up to a problem they have. So marketing's job here isn't to be pushy and sell. It's to educate and just get the brand name out there. But then, they move into consideration. Now they're actively looking for solutions. They need the nitty-gritty details. How does this work? Is it better than the other options? And that's where a company has to provide solid proof, clear value, and all the specifics.
This is a make or break moment. Even when a customer is totally ready to buy, the whole thing can fall apart right here. This stage is all about making it easy. Any hassle, any friction, like a confusing checkout page or fuzzy pricing, and they're gone. Simplicity and guarantees are absolutely king here.
Making the sale is a huge win, don't get me wrong, but the smartest brands know the journey is really just getting started. This second half is where the magic happens, turning that one-time buy into a real long-term relationship. And that brings us to onboarding, retention, and loyalty.
And this just nails the whole post-purchase experience. Onboarding is so critical. I mean, think about it. If you buy something but you have no clue how to use it, you're just going to get frustrated and probably stop using it, right? After that, retention is all about keeping them happy and engaged with ongoing support, maybe a community, and making sure they're always getting value out of it. And finally, we've reached the destination, loyalty. This is so much more than just a repeat buy. It's about deep trust. A loyal customer becomes an advocate. They're the ones telling their friends and family about you. And you don't get here with a single clever ad campaign. You earn it with a consistently great experience across every single one of these stages. Okay, so we've mapped out this ideal path. But why go to all this trouble? Why does it really matter? Well, the true power of journey mapping is all about finding and fixing what's broken.
It's super important to remember that in the real world, things are a little messy. People might jump from considering something back to just being aware of it. They might repeat a stage, and that's totally okay. This framework isn't meant to be a strict set of rules. It's really more of a diagnostic tool.
And that right there is the key takeaway. The whole point of mapping this journey is to find the friction points. Those spots where customers get confused, annoyed, or just plain lost, and then they leave. By pinpointing these spots, a business can actually go in and fix them. These are just some classic examples, right? Maybe your website gets tons of visitors, but nobody ever signs up. Well, that's a friction point in the awareness stage. It's a huge red flag that your main message isn't clear. Or what if tons of people add a product to their cart but never actually buy it? That points directly to a problem in the purchase stage. Every single one of these issues can be diagnosed and solved by looking at the right stage of the journey.
So let's leave it with a little homework. Think of a brand you are absolutely loyal to. Can you trace your own steps through these 6 stages? What did they do right at each point to guide you from being a total stranger to a huge fan? Because when you understand your own journey, you start to see the secrets behind every great customer experience out there.